Greetings, growers from around the world. Jordan River here with more Growcast. Today's episode is a very interesting one. I know you're going to love it. A little bit different, but it's powerful. We have Alex, the Stoner Chef, here to talk about some really interesting ways to decarb and infuse using your cannabis in your cooking. Absolutely powerful episode. Like I said, I know you're going to enjoy it so much. Before we jump in, I want to tell you about Photon Tech lighting. Photon Tech has a sale. It ends in just 3 days, I believe. Photon Tech. Use code GROWCAST for 5% off, and that 5% stacks on their current sale. And the more of the same lights you buy, the bigger the discount. So if you buy 2 lights of the same model, you get a discount. If you buy 3 lights, you get an even bigger discount. And stack it with code GROWCAST. And send us a snapshot of you using our code to be entered to win free seeds. Photon Tech, baby. growcastpodcast.com/photon will bring you right to their website. And like I said, code GROWCAST for 5% off. Photon Tech is so damn powerful. I have the X600, and I got to tell you, man, it is pumping out light. You can check out all of their lines, including their CO2 enhanced 1000 watt that's coming out. Some of the most powerful LEDs that I've seen. Check it out at Photon Tech Lighting, everyone. Use code GROWCAST and take advantage of that sale just going on for another 3 days. All right, let's jump into it with the Stoner Chef. Thanks for listening and enjoy the show. Hello, podcast listeners. You are now listening to Growcast. I'm your host, Jordan River, and I want to thank you for tuning in today. Before we get started, I urge you to share the show. Spread Growcast. It's how we grow. Make sure you're subscribed. Give us a good rating and review. It really helps us out, folks. Thank you so much. Today, we're taking a little bit of a detour from growing. We do this occasionally, but this is going to be a wonderful episode because it's all about cannabis cooking, cannabis infusing, eating cannabis, one of the best ways to consume. And today, we have on the line a cannabis culinary specialist. We have Alex, the Stoner Chef. What up, Alex?
Hey, how's it going, Jordan?
Going excellent, man. Yeah. Our pleasure. Really, really good to speak to you. We were talking off air. We had a little conversation. You know, cooking is something that we haven't done nearly enough coverage of on this show. So I'm excited to dive into home cooking with cannabis and professional cooking with cannabis and all that great stuff. But first, my friend, could you share your background as a chef, like outside of the weed world, and then also what brought you into cannabis?
Yeah, so I fell in love with cooking when I was in high school and proceeded to follow that passion, went to culinary school afterwards into college.
Nice.
Ended up taking a little detour into pizza school out in San Francisco. So I'm a certified Neapolitan pizzaiolo as well.
Pizza school?
Yeah.
That's my favorite type of school, man. That's the only type of school that I tend to attend is a pizza school.
Exactly. I know. Every time I tell someone that, they start laughing. I'm like, no, it's actually a real thing.
It's like clown college.
Yeah, right? So finished up with that. Opened up actually a food truck in Chicago where we did wood-fired pizzas.
Oh,
and it was
damn.
An awesome time. Chicago isn't that friendly with food trucks, however. So slowly working my way out of that. From there, proceeded to help open a couple of restaurants in the Chicago area. And
jeez, man.
Yeah.
That's pretty hardcore. Now, my understanding is, I mean, you mentioned that the food trucks particularly not so hospitable in Chicago, but my understanding is that the restaurant business is incredibly tough. Like your razor thin margins, the restaurant fail rate is higher than most businesses, which is already astronomically high just in any business. Did you find yourself getting along okay, or just kind of going from thing to thing, making ends meet? How did that look?
Yeah, I mean, I jumped around a little bit. Not every year, but every couple of years I needed something else to keep my interest.
Yeah.
And I always just love learning. That's my biggest thing. My first job was in a Mexican restaurant. Nice. And then from there went Italian, pretty much stayed Italian from then on. But I just loved learning all of the different ways of cooking anything and the reasoning behind it. I'm a very analytical person. I like data and efficiency. So I always like learning not just do this way, but this is why we do this. So later I can take that knowledge to whatever else I might be doing, including cooking with cannabis.
Oh man, I love that. When did it turn towards cannabis? Were you in Illinois when the green switch got flipped?
I was not.
Oh.
I was actually no. I grew up in Prohibition land, and that was one of the things that pushed me into cooking with it as well, and getting smart with how to not make the house smell so much like weed as well.
Ah, okay. So that was a long. So you simultaneously you were a fan. I mean, listen, I hear this all the time. People who love food love weed because weed makes food taste really good.
Exactly. Exactly.
What I really think it does actually is puts you in touch with your senses. I think that I think it's an oversimplification to say that it makes food taste better. I think all it really does is put you in touch with your senses. That's the best way I can put it.
Yeah.
So it doesn't surprise me that you were kind of the stoner chef
Right.
before you were the stoner chef.
Yeah.
So yeah, you were just cooking with all sorts of stuff from the beginning. Like what got you started in the cannabis cooking world?
So the first thing I ever made was actually a tincture with Everclear. I remember reading about it online. It was called Green Dragon, and basically you take your lowers or whatever you're not really going to smoke, and you let it sit in a bottle of Everclear for a week or two. And I was a little impatient, so what I actually did was pour that Everclear in the cannabis into a mason jar, closed it up, and then I sous vide it overnight. So I put it in a boiling water bath overnight to try and get everything out within 24 hours. And it works beautifully.
Whoa, sous vide. So for those who don't know,
Yeah.
it's exactly like you just described. That you'll put something in like a sealed bag and then put it in a very strictly controlled water temperature. It's like just enough to cook it usually, right?
Right.
Is that what sous vide is? Okay.
Yeah. So depending on, in the culinary world, whatever kind of protein or vegetable you're cooking, there's certain parameters where it won't break down too much. You can cook it perfectly all the way through. Like you can cook a medium
I
rare
don't
steak
know how
perfectly.
I feel about that for a steak.
And then, yeah,
I don't know. I've heard it's delicious, but I like
it is.
I like grilled. I like to taste the flame.
It is. Exactly. So, and here's the thing is a lot of people say sous vide, you sous vide the meat first. I actually love that grilled flame taste. So what I did is I would grill it first really quickly just to get the marks on it and then sous vide it the rest of the way. So I would do the opposite way.
Oh, I love it.
Because then you actually infuse the entire meat with that flavor all the way through.
Damn. Absolutely love it. Okay, so right off the bat, you're becoming the stoner chef and you're instantly sous videing. You're sous videing, or however you pronounce it. That's really freaking cool, man. What do you I don't want to take a sharp turn here, but what about for my listeners? What do you recommend for people who are like getting started in cooking with cannabis? Is the first step to learn decarboxylation and infusing into some type of fat or alcohol? Don't let me put words in your mouth, please. How would you recommend people get started?
I would. So the first thing is understanding the decarboxylation, and what you're doing is you're activating that THC so it's ready for your body to intake.
Right.
When you're smoking it, you're instantly lighting it, vapor goes into your lungs and you're getting high. When you're cooking with it, if you don't activate that THC, you're not going to get the same effect or very much effect at all.
Right.
And it's just kind of be wasted. So understanding that you need to heat it up to about 200 degrees to get everything activated, and then you can infuse it into whatever you're looking for. Again, growing up in Prohibition land, I would decarb in a bag sous videing. The house doesn't smell. It keeps all the volatile terpenes in there.
That's fucking
and
brilliant.
I've actually found that you get a much better entourage effect from doing that rather than just some distillate or if you decarbed it in your oven the regular way.
That's fucking brilliant. You instantly are blowing some people's minds. Let me ask you this. I'm kind of a freak about I'm picky about certain health things. One thing I don't like is plastics. Dude, the sous vide bags, that's a specific type of plastic, right? It's got to be like really heat resistant and stuff. It is. Okay.
Yeah, and they're good up to 212 degrees. They won't release anything. So that's another thing. A cheap way of sous videing is in a Ziploc bag. I don't like doing that so much as well, just because it hasn't been tested for anything that might come off.
I'm sure that's coming off. That's interesting though.
Yeah.
So you get the real deal. You get some sous vide bags and you just fucking decarb in sealed so it doesn't stink, because you know that the wife is coming down on me. The whole house stinks. That's exactly how
Exactly.
That's a bad imitation. Yep. I love my wife, but you all know what I'm saying. That's a brilliant hack. So wait, what's the? Right. I'm sorry. You may have said this. I'm sorry. I am stoned. What is your ideal temperature for the decarb in sous vide?
200 degrees.
Okay.
and I'll go
200.
1 to 2 hours. You do want to vacuum seal it. And the funny thing is, so as you're decarbing it, you're getting this off gassing. And the first time I did this, I thought I had messed up really bad because I pulled it out and there was air in the bag and I could see some moisture on the inside.
Oh.
And I went, oh crap. Then I opened up the bag. I cut the corner of the bag open and I smelled it. And it was like I just volcanoed myself right then, just instant vaporizing. And I was like, oh, that was just all the terpenes that had condensed on the inside of the bag.
That's
and
hilarious.
So
that just extended your life by a year when you inhaled all those terpenes at once. You just got like a lifetime's dose worth of plant medicines.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
It was great, and it smelled so delicious. And that was the other thing. I'd only decarbed in the oven, and I don't know how much you've done it, but I always get like this weird toasted nut taste out of it.
Every time, it tastes the same.
And I'm not a huge fan of that unless I'm going to be using it in something that has toasted nuts in it. So I really enjoy keeping all those terpenes in. Gives you a lot more flavor, gives you a lot more effect.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense because you're 100% right. I have decarboxylated wildly different strains. When they go into the oven, they smell completely different. And when they come out, they virtually smell the same. Mm-hmm. And it is kind of like a cooked nut, kind of savory, almost grassy, nutty smell.
Right.
And it makes sense that all of those volatilized terpenes, that's what's stinking up the house. That's what's pissing off the neighbors and the wife. So if you can keep that in the bag, man, that's a game changer. We hadn't even discussed that off air. That's crazy. The sous-vide decarb. Okay, you've already blown our mind with decarbing. Why don't we move on with the original train of thought here? A beginner, a newbie, someone who's looking to cook with it for the first time. Where are we going? Sure. Butter, coconut oil, alcohol? What do you suggest?
So I love coconut oil.
Ooh.
Butter is great. It's been used for such a long time, but I've had some friends who are lactose intolerant, and I just enjoy kind of the taste of the coconut oil. I'm not a huge fan of like toasted coconut, funny enough, but coconut oil kind of mixes well with everything. It doesn't have so much flavor, and the cannabis actually, heightens the flavor in there.
Right. It complements it well. Yeah.
Yeah. There we go. Complements the flavor of the coconut well.
No butter then for you.
Yeah. And the other thing is too, you have milk solids in there, you have water in there.
Right.
So even when I did do butter, I would still clarify my butter first and then make can of butter out of that, which is actually ghee.
That makes sense. The clarified butter, you're right. It's already impure if you're working with a stick of butter.
Right.
Okay. But the coconut's pure.
Yeah. So that way I know, I'm putting in this much oil, this many milligrams should be in that oil. And then I can divvy that up pretty easily.
Ooh, can we discuss that? I know it varies if you're using shake or buds, or if you know your stuff is a little bit less potent, you need to add more.
Right.
What is your specific dosage weed to decarboxylated weed to coconut oil?
So the hardest thing I feel is that a lot of people do this with their homegrown or somebody else's that hasn't been tested.
Oh.
When it's tested, it's really easy to figure out your dosage.
Wow.
If you take 10 grams, that's 19%. That's 1,900 milligrams in that jar of coconut oil, however much you decide to make.
Never thought about that. Okay, it's that easy. You just do a quick conversion. Okay.
Yeah. And I can actually hook you up with, I've got a spreadsheet that you might be able to put online you can plug that in. So when you're doing it with your home grow, you kind of have to take the best guess. And it takes a couple trial and errors to figure out what kind of your dosage is.
Right.
I always try to lowball it so that I know, okay, this one should feel like about 10 milligrams. And then I know, oh, that one felt like 30, or I didn't feel it at all. And then I can dial it in from there.
Okay, that makes sense. And you're right, because most of us aren't going to test. So it's a bit of a trial and error for those at home.
So I usually start with 10 grams of cannabis, and I'll usually go for about 4 cups of oil.
Oh, okay.
So that's about a quart of oil.
That's okay. So you're probably using some high quality. You probably only use high quality stuff, I'd imagine. Whole buds.
Yeah, I do whole buds. I've got my home grow going. Running some great stuff from Terpene. We'll talk about it later, but his orange head rush is going to make it into a savory dish I'm going to be doing this week.
Oh, that's incredible, man. You should contact him. I bet he would love to hear that. I wanted to grow that orange head rush. He would probably love to hear that, man. That's super cool. 10 grams, 4 cups. That's a good yield. You're going to get a lot of fucking bang for your buck.
Yeah, and that's the other thing too is, I was the chef in my group of friends and I would do this. I had a friend who would, he was the guy who would make concentrates. Y'all I would rather make everybody's 1 cup of oil that they could make their own brownies at home with rather than, 4 houses doing this, 4 different days.
Yeah, that makes sense. Before we continue down this path, though, I would like to maybe make a differentiation or a distinction or a clarification for maybe some people who are new to this. Let me explain what I understand, and then you can corroborate it or correct me.
Sure.
My understanding is that kind of the whole point, when you're not doing alcohol or sugar, the whole point of infusing into things like butter or coconut oil, you're infusing the fat molecules with the desired cannabinoids and terpenes and all that stuff. And my understanding is that a fat molecule can only hold so much cannabis. So you want to find out that correct dose, because if you go above it, you're going to saturate the fat molecules, but then you're just wasting the rest. It's not like you can add an infinite amount of weed to a stick of butter and it'll just get stronger and stronger. The fat molecules kind of saturate and fill up, right? So you want to hit that line, but not over it because you're wasting. Is that a correct assessment or is that wrong?
That is correct. Yeah. Yeah, you can't put a pound into a cup of butter and expect to have
and not just because of the physical proportions, but because it literally saturates. So you don't want to use too much. But honestly, 10 grams to 4 cups is surprisingly little to me.
Yeah.
You got some good shit, that's why.
Yeah. And also, if you ever have any worries about it too, you can make a second batch of it too. Once you squeeze all the oil out of that first bit of bud.
Oh yeah.
And that oil looks really, really dark and really, really awesome. You can make another little batch and throw another cup or two in there and see if you get any more color, any more flavors out of it.
Wow.
And you can add it to it, or you can leave it on the side for, hey, this is when I make brownies for my wife. I'll do those as well.
Whoa, that's sick. Okay, so let's get back onto it. Sorry for that little detour, but I feel that was probably helpful to some new listeners. Let's get back onto it. We've got our coconut oil. We've got our 10 grams. Are you throwing this into like a easy cooker? How are you doing this?
So again, I really like sous vide. I do the entire thing sous vide.
Back in the sous vide, duh. Oh, that's crazy. Again, to control smell.
Yeah. And again, I mean, I just love all the terpenes in there. Yeah, I go straight decarbing the sous vide pack. When I pull it out, I definitely make sure I put it in the refrigerator for at least 10 minutes to allow those volatile gases to cool down and not escape and hit you in the face as soon as you open up the bag. And I'll cut the bag large enough so that I can just pour my oil straight into that bag.
Wow.
So I'll cut the top off, pour the oil back into that bag, vacuum seal it again, and pop it back in the sous vide at 200. And I'll do that for 4 hours usually.
Oh, wow. That's a nice long time, but a decently low heat. Interesting, man. Yeah. And then that's just instant. Magically, You pull it out, you stir it up, and that's that?
Yep. Strain it out, and you're good to go.
That's insane.
Yeah. Actually, something else that I heard, I haven't tried this yet, but I've also heard that you can decarb straight in a mason jar in your oven at 200 degrees. I'm a little wary about the glass in there.
Exploding because of pressure? Yeah. That's what I'd worry about. Right. I like your method better, man. I like the sous vide method.
Yeah.
Man, that's a game changer.
Yeah. So other than that, I mean, I've heard the magic butters work great.
Yeah.
Magic butter machines work great. I've heard crock pots work great. Yeah. I haven't really stepped back from the sous vide.
Well, I think that it's brilliant with the odor control. That's literally the number one issue.
It is. Yeah.
So my problem with coconut oil was that it kind of has different forms at room temperature, around room temperature. Like room temperature is its basically solidifying degree. So if it's a little bit cold outside, you've got a nice hard stick of coconut oil. Mm-hmm. But if it gets a little warm, it really, really liquefies.
Right.
What do you like to use that coconut oil in? I like butter for that reason. If I'm going to make it into like chocolates, for instance, it'll be too melty.
Right.
If it's from the coconut oil. But I'd like to hear, I'm sure you have a great answer. What are some good things to take that coconut oil and kind of create something that is delicious and recognizable out of it?
Sure. I mean, to your point, yeah, it has two different properties, but you can manipulate those properties for whatever you're going to be using.
That's true.
If you need it more like butter, pop it in the fridge for a little bit, and you've got a harder substance.
That's a good point.
And then if you need something more liquidy, I'll throw some hot water in the sink and then drop the container in there for a little bit and let it liquefy.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And then, I've infused olive oil as well. Olive oil, tends to go rancid.
Oh.
And if you manipulate those properties, because it's the unsaturated fat molecules that can pick up any other sulfur smell that's going on, and that's when it goes rancid.
Wow.
So if you exploit that and you pack it with something that has a lot of flavor compounds in it, like cannabis, you can actually get that oil to taste a lot more like weed than olive oil.
Right. Does it make it last longer because of that? That's a strange thought. Does it not go rancid so bad because it's so saturated?
That could be. I haven't looked into that.
That's an interesting thought.
That makes sense.
Cannabis is a preservative.
Right.
Holy shit. I know you're a big fan of that olive oil, that cannabis olive oil. We're going to do some pizza talk later, and you use it on that, right?
Yes.
Oh my God, that sounds amazing. But first, the coconut oil, and virtually anything, brownies, fucking baked goods, all those type things.
Well, you are baked. Yeah. Yeah. Anything where butter is used or oil is used, it's going to be interchangeable.
Wow.
You just kind of want to look at, like, if you're making cookies and it says to cream the butter, you're going to want to have colder coconut oil so that you can cream that with the sugars.
Right.
So it's just kind of getting to know your recipes and what you want that to do.
Man, you make it sound easy.
Yeah, I've used it in pancake batter. Yeah, if anyone has questions, feel free to hit me up on Instagram. More than happy to answer questions on this.
Throw that out there. St0nerchef, but the O is a 0. St0nerchef, all one word, right? No underscores or anything like that?
No underscores, yep, just a 0 instead of an O.
I bet you'll get some followers after this episode, man. This has already been eye-opening. So, sous-vide decarboxylation, sous-vide infusion into coconut oil. Use for any recipe, heat it up if it needs to be oily, refrigerate it if it needs to be hard. That's goddamn incredible, man. That's an incredible overview. And the magic number is 200 degrees, it seems.
Yeah. Wow. Right below boiling. When I'm infusing, I can let it go a little bit lower. If I need to let it go for a day, if I'm going to be out of town or something, I'll go at like 140, 150, just because over 4 hours, I have had a bag pop inside the water before, which is very unfortunate. However, it's not that hard to fix. Oil and water will separate, and THC isn't water soluble, so you're not going to lose anything other than just making a mess.
Right. Man, yeah, that's a goddamn hack. That can only be described as a hack.
Right?
We'll be right back with the St0nerchef. Before that, though, shout out to Plant Revolution, makers of the Great White line. You know their Great White Granular Myco, a wonderful Myco choice. Their Orca Liquid Myco, powerful stuff. And maybe my favorite product, definitely my favorite product actually, King Crab, baby, loaded with beneficial bacteria. Plant Revolution, aka Plant Success, they have what you need to take your garden over the top with their beneficial fungi and their beneficial bacteria. Virtually compatible with every grow style. They've got something for you. And like I said, try that King Crab. Take your garden over the top, baby. Make those plants pray with that beneficial bacteria. PlantRevolution.com. You can find out more there. Pick them up in your local hydro store. We are proudly partnered, and you will not regret it when you integrate Plant Revolution products into your cannabis garden. Enjoy, folks. Thank you to Plant Revolution. All right, let's get back to St0nerchef. Okay, where do we go from here? You want to talk pizza? What do you want to talk about? You want to talk about a little pizza pie? Let's talk pizza. Talk to me about pizza school. What'd you learn in pizza school?
So I went to Tony Gimiani's pizza school in San Francisco, and he's a multiple world champion pizzaiolo. He actually won so many times at the National Pizza Expo that they wouldn't let him compete anymore. So So he actually opened up his own pizza school based off the one in Italy. Neapolitan pizza, classic Italian pizza were my two main focuses there. It was just like a week-long shop class. So I was in there all day, but I wasn't 21 yet, and I was in San Francisco. So I just told him to put me to work after class because it was in his restaurant. So I got way more schooling that way as well, just working in the kitchen and turning out pizzas all day. it was amazing. I remember that was the first I had heard of infusing olive oil as well as one of the cooks there.
Oh,
I
damn.
asked him about cannabis and cooking with it. And he was like, oh, yeah, I'll just infuse the olive oil and then you just drizzle it on top.
Wow.
And then you rather than baking it into the pizza somewhere, you can monitor your dosing right on top there.
Oh man, that probably doesn't disturb the flavor and the texture of the dough and all that stuff, which is very delicate, is my understanding.
It is. Yeah. Yeah. So Neapolitan pizza is a funny thing. And it was funny selling it in Chicago too, because one of our biggest complaints were, man, it's got no base on it. Like I have to fold it. It's all puddly in the middle. I'm like, no, it's kind of supposed to be like that. It's got fresh mozzarella on it
Oh,
or marinara. And actually the dough was homemade as well. We got our own sourdough starter. We captured from outside. So it's a wild yeast from the Chicago area.
that's insane. That sounds so
Yeah.
good. Now, you learned on the West Coast, if I may give my kind of pizza opinion here, being born in the Midwest and lived on the West Coast, those are literally the two places, just like you. It's literally the exact same path. You know, the pizzas out West are delicious because of the amount of delicious organic produce. And if you go get a pizza from Smug's Pizza, you might be eating mushrooms that were foraged and all that good stuff. And it's like hippie pizza. That's why it's delicious on the West Coast. But what they never replicate to me is the ovens. The ovens in the Midwest are these freaking huge in-ground multi-$1,000 rotating fire ovens. Or it's like a really nice upscale place and it's like a brick fire oven. You know what I mean?
Right,
Out West,
right.
they have those weird conveyor belts. It's like a Potbelly sandwiches type heater up, like a Quiznos sub type conveyor belt. Man, that thing does not cook a pizza right. That's kind of just my opinion.
Doesn't.
Yeah, you agree?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, if you're going to equate it to growing, it's like growing and hand watering or having, 50 plants hooked up to an auto drip system. There's going to be something that goes wrong every once in a while. And you just can't give it the attention that it needs its whole way through.
They literally, I've seen how it's made on like Domino's pizzas. They literally make those pizzas with machines.
Yeah, yeah.
It is the it's Mango Tech's dream, the automated waterer's dream of a fucking pizza place.
Right? That should be a meme that Mango puts out there.
Oh yeah, that's right. Oh, someone send him this episode. Yeah, that guy's great. We were supposed to connect once. I kind of dropped the ball on that one, and I feel bad, but I appreciate his hand. I'm a hand waterer, and I laugh at every single one of his hand watering memes. So
yeah, me too. I'm the same way. I agree. It's
good stuff. Where were we? Pizza.
Pizza. Yeah, yeah. I mean, the West Coast it's weird. They definitely have the ingredients right, but I feel like the understanding of the pizza as a whole and the dough is really the base that you put everything on.
Yeah.
And you can have the best toppings, but if you don't have the base down, it's going to be a good pizza, not a great pizza.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And it's weird because they do bread well out there. I don't know if it's just, like I said, the firing or what. Like, because, they have the brioche and all that good stuff, but the pizza dough here in Chicago is just where it's at.
Yeah. It's a lot of the water too.
Oh.
That was the biggest thing. I did some consulting for a guy down in Florida, actually. And he was like, man, my dough just doesn't taste good. And the first question I asked him was, do you use the water out of the tap? And he said, yeah. And I said, would you drink that water? And he said, hell no. And I said, well, then why are you putting it in your pizza dough?
Whoa.
Switched up his water, changed it. It's great.
Like when I switched to our own, it fixed my grow. The same thing applies to pizzas. That's pretty fucked up.
Exactly.
How did we get here? I don't know if you've seen the movie Idiocracy, when everybody forgot to water plants with water and they were using the Gatorade. It was called something different. Brondo.
Yeah, it's got electrolytes. It's what plants crave.
Exactly. You got it. That's literally what you just described. You had to explain to that man that you can't put poison water in his pizza.
Yeah.
I don't know why poison water is coming out of the tap in the first place, but holy crap, man. That's eye-opening.
Yeah.
So a filtered water, it's the same thing as a grow.
Yeah.
It's cracking me up.
And the same thing goes for, New York water and New York pizza tastes different than Chicago. All across the country and the world, there were guys who would ship their water from their town in the States to Italy so that they could make their dough the way that they wanted to. Otherwise, everybody else's tasted the same.
Wow, man. The water. It was the water all along. Oh my
It
God.
is the water.
The Growcast members who saw all the Growcast TV episodes, their heads are exploding along with mine because it's been the water all along.
Definitely.
That's incredible, man. Wow. Well, I could talk pizza all day. This did turn into Pizza Cast for just a minute. This episode flew by. It was an absolute joy to speak with you, man. I do want to talk about a couple things before we wrap it up. We have some time.
Yeah.
Again, St0nerchef on Instagram. The O is a 0, and go give him a follow, everybody. You'll find him. So one of the things that I know that you're kind of how do I say this? You're passionate about educating people is dosing, because dosing with edibles can be tough. Do you have advice on dosing our cannabis edibles?
Like I said, start low, round up in your first math on how many milligrams you think there might be. If you think there's going to be 1,800, just move it up to 2,000 milligrams, and then divide that out by the number, by how many milligrams you want to start off with. So you want 10 milligram pieces, divide by 10, and that'll give you how many servings you need to cut it into.
10 slices of pizza. You drizzle the olive oil and you slice into 10s.
Right, exactly. Triangles, not squares.
Always pie cut. Always pie cut. I request pie cut every time.
I was the same way until I helped open that place in Illinois, and we did thin crust pub style pizza. And I finally understood, like, okay, you want one pizza for a couple buddies at the bar, and a couple squares and just grabbing squares in between beers is great.
Squares. The squares finally made sense. It finally clicked in your head.
Again, it depends on what you're doing with it. If it's a pub style pizza, squares. If it's Italian style pizza, I do triangles all day.
Right. Well, that's interesting because you're right. Best pizza I ever had was in Italy, and I want to say that it was actually baked into a square.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just like, it was nothing like an American pizza. It had like fresh, like piles of fresh basil and like, yeah, it was fucking good.
That's my go-to, is just fresh mozzarella, fresh basil on top of like a pepperoni pizza.
Fuck. It's like how they do it over there, dude. That's what's up.
Yeah. And did they cut your pizza over there?
I want to say it was cut. Yeah, I could be wrong though. Maybe it was uncut. Do they not do it cut over there sometimes?
They prefer not to. It was actually kind of like tacos when they first came out with them. Was you would run and grab your pizza, and they'd just hand you, the dough with the cooked pizza, and you would fold it into 4. It was called quattrofolio.
Oh, get out of here! That's insane.
So you can eat it on the train on the way to work and everything. Yep.
That's insane. A little bit of pizza history, man. This episode has been dope. Oh, this is one thing I wanted to ask you. It popped in my head during this interview. You talk about, the need to decarboxylate, of course, making it bioavailable, almost universally like true across the board. However, I've heard accounts of people, if most people, for instance, just eat weed, eat flower, if you have to eat your stash, I've literally heard stories of multiple people doing that and one person out of the 4 or whatever getting high. Have you ever heard of that? And do you have any understanding as to stories like that, and maybe something to do with the stomach enzymes? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could be stomach enzyme. It could be your body breaking it down itself. It could have already started to deteriorate and turn that THC into delta 9.
Maybe there's fat in your stomach? Like if you had just eaten a fatty meal? I don't know.
Yeah, if you've eaten a whole bunch of pizza, that could happen. It seems like it would be too quick for it to infuse, but I'm thinking more of like an older stash that's kind of been allowed to degrade a little bit. Might make it more available.
Interesting, depending on the stash. Because I've heard that tale time and time again. I've heard, we had to eat it, nothing happened, This is the vast majority, but sometimes I hear someone gets fucked up from eating just nugs. Maybe I'll have to dig into that further. Now they've spoken to the chef side. I'll get a physician on next. We have the pizza angle. We have the pizza theory. There's pizza in the stomach, and then the weed falls on the pizza, and a beautiful chain reaction happens.
Exactly.
Okay, man. Let's see. Is St0nerchef Instagram? Is that your main thing? Do you want to throw out no other websites or anything to throw out? Just follow you on Instagram. Yeah,
follow me on Instagram. So I am the head grower at a local place here in Oregon. We're actually going to be doing a 420 special where we'll be selling eighths pre-bagged with a little recipe on it.
Oh shit! What's the brand? Where can my Oregon listeners find this?
So we're Miracle Greens, and we're in Bend, Oregon. And then we've also got a new location out in Corvallis. So all the college kids out there just looking to grow. So we'll have that, and then we're actually going to be releasing some of our in-house bred seeds, a couple packs some lucky people out there as well.
Well, that's fun.
Something fun. Yeah.
Oh man, you should talk to those folks. You know, we have a kind of captivated grower audience here. If you need help getting those seeds into the hands of growers who need them, we are happy to help you. Before we wrap it up, what's going on at the farm? What are you growing that you're excited about? Everything going good? No infestations or anything crazy, I hope?
No, we've been doing well. Yeah, we're kind of turning and burning through some of the hype strains right now, honestly. Get everyone happy with their Girl Scout cookies,
nice.
Bruce Banner, GMOs and everything.
Sure.
But in between each of those, we are going to be popping our in-house seeds and trying to pheno hunt. We just finished up an amazing Chernobyl by Malawi that has got so many different flavor profiles and smells and flush colors. It's amazing. I'm going to start putting up some photos of those.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're really trying to, I think, work into having something that nobody else has, because with the infestations and everything that's going on with all the big grows going out and everything, everybody seems to be going to clones. Just like you've said, living in Humboldt, it's just a quick and easy way. But we've noticed getting different clones from different areas and what their lights were and what our lights are, we've struggled a little bit. So we're just trying to turn out some stuff that's in-house, that's unique to us,
go vertical,
that nobody else has. Yeah.
I love it, man. Always go vertical when you can. That's absolutely beautiful. Well, exactly. I need to talk to you guys again. Maybe we'll do a breeder feature. We'll do something in the future. This was an absolute pleasure, Alex. One more time, St0nerchef on Instagram.
Yep.
That O is a 0. Go give him a follow, everybody. Thanks, Alex. I appreciate your time today, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thank you.
Thank you, listeners, for tuning in. Give us a follow if you haven't already at Growcast. Stay tuned. Subscribe so you can catch every episode. We're coming at you twice a week, and hit up Patreon, of course. Patreon.com/Growcast. This is Alex, the St0nerchef, and Jordan River, your host with the Grossed, signing off saying be safe out there and grow smarter. That's all for today. Thank you so much, everybody. Appreciate you tuning in. Hope you enjoyed the St0nerchef. Some really great tips there, if I do say so myself. Quick shout out to Delta Leaf Labs before we wrap it up. The quickest, most affordable sex testing around, deltaleaflabs.com. Use code GROWCAST to get free shipping, to be entered to win free tests, and send us a snapshot of you using our code to be entered to win free seeds. USA only. deltaleaflabs.com for all of your sex testing needs. It's quick, it's affordable, kill those males, don't waste time, don't waste newts and soil and space. I do it every single time, every single run. And I gotta tell you, it's a game changer. DeltaLeafLabs.com. Use code GROWCAST and send us a snapshot, would you? Thank you all so much. Everything's going so good. I appreciate you subscribers. Could not do it without you. Eternally grateful for each and every one of you. Best of luck in your gardens. More content coming at you soon. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care.